Welcome to Gamers Utopia. Today I am going to tell you the whole story of PAUL Phoenix of Tekken game series, aka the King of the Iron Fist Tournament. While I am going to tell you the whole story, you will be able to enjoy all the endings of PAUL Phoenix. Before I go any further, a small request of subscribe to the channel and also press the bell icon so you won't miss any new video. So let's begin. PAUL Phoenix is a character in the Tekken series who made his debut in the first Tekken game and since then has appeared in every game to date. He is a hot-headed, aggressive character, determined more than ever to win the King of Iron Fist tournament to prove he is the best fighter in the entire universe. Paul is good friends with the Law family. Although he gets close several times, especially in Tekken 3, Paul has never won a tournament. Despite his initial setup in the first game as a possible rival to Kazuya, as well as his arguably more serious standing in the earlier games, Paul has increasingly become something of a joke character, story-wise. This is quite evidenced by the fact that he is rivals with Kuma 1 and Kuma 2 and that his endings have become more comedic and slapstick. Nevertheless, he is among the most popular and well-loved Tekken characters. PAUL Phoenix is a tough American fighter. Something of a drifter, Paul has no real career, instead making money by street fighting and taking occasional work as a bouncer while he pursues his real passion to prove himself to be the toughest fighter in the universe. Paul trains with martial law, who would go on to become his good friend, and Lee Chaolon, and remains undefeated in battle, with the exception of a young fighter named Kazuya, who held him to a draw. When Paul hears the announcement of a King of Iron Fist tournament, he enters, seeing the opportunity to face his old rival and prove himself to be the best. While Paul does indeed come face to face with Kazuya, he is unable to defeat him. In the process, Paul acquires a new rival, a bear named Kuma. 2 years passed before news reached Paul of a second tournament. While he was again successful in defeating Kuma, he still was not able to prove himself to be stronger than Kazuya. This time, Paul had earned the right to face Kazuya, but traffic on the Japanese highways prevented him from reaching the venue in time, forcing him to forfeit. Paul had to wait another 20 years for a third attempt to prove himself, but when he received an invitation to another King of Iron Fist tournament, he accepted immediately. This time, Paul defeated all who stood before him, including Kuma 2, the son of his old rival, and Ogre, the god of fighting himself. Returning home believing himself to be victorious, Paul was unaware that victory had once again eluded him. Ogre had not been defeated, and had morphed into his true monstrous form only to be defeated by Jin Kazama. Feeling cheated of his win, Paul enters the fourth tournament, seeking his long-overdue victory. This time though, Paul was too cocky and underestimated his opponent, who was once again Kuma, and lost the fight. Humbled, Paul returned to his training with renewed determination. When the announcement of a fifth tournament reached Paul, he entered with renewed vigor. This time, Paul successfully defeats Kuma, but the fight took its toll on him and, exhausted, Paul was forced to forfeit once again. Soon after, the sixth King of Iron Fist tournament was announced. Short of money, Paul enters and, realizing he cannot succeed on his own, teams up with his old friend Martial Law to see if they can win the prize money together. While they did well in the tournament, they were unable to claim the top prize. Undaunted, Paul continues to pursue victory in the King of Iron Fist tournament and enters the newly announced seventh tournament. Personality-wise, Paul is an extremely overconfident, muscle-brained individual who never doubts himself. This overconfidence tends to get the better of him as his ego spins out of control, with the end result usually leaving Paul in difficult and awkward situations. Despite this, his arrogant attitude has never changed throughout the years, and still he enters tournaments striving to prove himself to be the best in the universe. He means this literally, according to his ending in Tekken 5. Paul has always been portrayed as being short-tempered, albeit kind-hearted, slightly dim-witted, brash, loud and totally presumptuous. He considers Kazuya Mishima to be his rival, though Kazuya tends to see him as little more than a nuisance at best. Paul shares a deep friendship with martial law, despite the two's constant squabbling. Law is usually seen as Paul's mentor or advice giver, and the pair tend to end up in the most bizarre of circumstances alongside other characters. Paul is also friends with Forrest Law and Steve Fox. Paul's laziness usually results in him being bankrupt and in desperate need of money, leading him either to find temporary work as a bouncer or enter a tournament just to win the prize money to keep himself going a little while longer. Paul and Marshall's antics and get-rich-quick schemes are all well known among the cast in the scenario campaign, and many characters will call both of them out for their shameless behavior.